Welcome back, Sacred Travel friends. Today, I want to speak with you about objections. So if you have found, or if you are finding yourself at a crossroads where you are thinking about a decision, and that might be about a journey that you want to come on with me, or that might be a course that you'd like to take, that might be your next coaching container, or that might be a very just profound life decision that you are in. And maybe there's all of these thoughts in your head and all of these constraints where you're like, I don't have time for it. I don't have the money for it. I don't have capacity. There is my obligations. There's my responsibilities. So all of that, and you find yourself in overwhelm, then this episode is exactly for you. Because what I found is that objections are actually not the problem, but they are thresholds of identity expansion. So I want to walk you through some of these today. And I want to give a little disclaimer because you might not like everything that I say. This has trigger potential. So pay attention to the triggers, what they are, because this is usually your next key, your next code to that identity and capacity shift energetically. So I want you to notice right from the beginning that you are probably not here by accident, and even if you don't know what what these decisions or constraints that you are walking around with are, something in you already moved, even if you haven't said yes to it. So just take a moment and ask yourself, like, what is it? What's the decision and what's the hesitation that you are coming with here today to listen to this episode? And there's one incremental change that I actually just learned recently, and I forgot the name, but there was a sales coach that popped up in my Instagram feed, and the caption that called me was, or that made me pause to scroll, was, "Your excuses are your reasons." And I want to say it again because I had to read it a couple of times. Your excuses are your reasons. And why that is exactly the case, I sat with it, I meditated with it because it triggered me. I looked at it and I'm like, how dare you? How dare you say something like that? So if it triggers you, you are exactly in the right place. And bear with me, we're going to unravel that together. So it's not about solving objections. I think it's rather like sitting with them and seeing where the triggers come up. And usually, this is not even the point. There is something underneath. So whenever you find yourself coming up, and I'm going to call them excuses right now, when you are finding yourself with an objection or an excuse, look underneath. There is almost always something underneath. And I have come to understand that there's always an outer explanation or an outer excuse for things and an inner explanation or an inner excuse. So let's look at the most common ones. Time. I don't have time. I don't have time to go on a sacred journey to Egypt that is 14 days long in the middle of the Christmas period. I simply don't have time for that. Now, I want to tell you something. There's two ways how you can move in life. And I feel the times we are in now are really so accelerated and pivotal onto the point where that becomes very clear. There are two ways how you can move into life. One is incremental, small, safe, taking logistical steps, maybe also even slightly more aligned in your comfort zone and in your nervous system, or quantum. And that's where we're moving to. So this is really the leaps, the shifts that are identity-led decisions that collapse time. Now, I'm going to speak more about sacred travel, but the same is true for any kind of program that you want to take that has to do with your spiritual, with your energetic expansion. Sacred travel is not just a trip. This is a decision point. And decisions like this, they don't come around every day, especially because there is an investment of resources, of time, of money. So time is usually not the real constraint. It's more about the willingness of you stepping out of a life that you have structured in a way that it is into the life, into the structure, and into the capacity that is calling you. There might be a gap. There might be a leap that you have to take. So the women who say yes to this journey, it's not that they have more time. It's that they have made a different decision about what matters to them, about their priorities. So the real question, and I really want you to ask yourself this, is not like, do I have time? But it's, am I willing to make space for the life that I actually say that I want and that I desire that I want? Have you ever looked at a place and felt, this is really mine to go? This feels like home. And even if you haven't ever been there, certain lands call you. Certain temples move you from the inside out. Certain landscapes feel like a memory, like a soul home. And this is not accidental because your soul has a travel signature. And some people travel to protect sacred spaces. Others travel to awaken rose wisdom, or to listen deeply, or to go to places where your ancestors have once dwelled to retrieve that wisdom back into the present. So when you understand how your soul journeys, everything shifts. The places that you choose, the experience that you seek out, and the way that you move through the world. If you're curious where your soul actually travels and how, then take the Sacred Travel Quiz. It's a doorway into understanding yourself and your travel soul signature on a deeper level. The link is waiting for you, so click below. Time leaps, quantum leaps, collapsing time. The first time that I went to Egypt, this was such a quantum leap for me. And it doesn't have to be Egypt, but it can be any other trip where you're like feeling that inner pull and you just know that you have to be there and that there is like no way that this is not going to happen. And of course, our human self, our human life, and even people in our life might try to talk us out of that. Are you willing to make space for the life that you desire and that you say that you want? Okay, let's look at money. It's a big investment. And I want to say, yes, usually trips like that, transformational sacred journeys come with an investment, with resources, with time, with money. So let's be honest. You have X amount of money this year to spend. The question is, where are you going to be spending it? Okay. And more importantly is also with the money that you are going to be spending, who are you becoming by spending that money on something? Because the women who want to step into that next iteration of soul guidance, of gnosis, of truly like know who they are and what does that mean, becoming sovereign, becoming like standing in your truth, feeling full alignment, also a form of spiritual leadership. It's not about financial decisions from contraction. It's really making that decision from an expanded state. So go into that future pacing of yourself already. Imagine yourself in 6 months from now, having said yes to this sacred trip that you want to take, to that Magdalene Reiki certification, to that program. See yourself there. It's a different environment. It's different conversations that you're having. It's a different level of self-trust that you are bringing to every conversation, into your families, into your communities, into your workspace, into the service, and to the space holding. And ask yourself, like, would that version of yourself make the same decision than you are making right now? And is that investment spent in that program, in that sacred travel trip, worth the transformation, that quantum leap transformation, versus all the mini adjustments and all maybe the smaller spendings over the period of the year? Money is also often a topic that is connected to self-worth. Am I willing to spend that much on my transformation? Am I willing? Am I even allowed? Do I give myself permission to spend 5K, 10K, or less or more on a journey that I could take my whole family on? And while all of that is true, we operate a lot, or I operate a lot, with contradicting, coexisting truths, right? That might not be so contradicting. You can ask yourself that. And at the same time, you can ask yourself, okay, if I give myself full permission and I stand in my worthiness and I do that and I go on that sacred journey, who's the version, who's the woman that is coming back from that? How has my capacity of holding space for my family, for my partner, for my work, for everything and anything in life has expanded massively? And probably also the capacity of receiving abundance. Another one that is very often tied to that is the I'm not ready one. So let's look at that. I'm not ready is, I want to say that when we come from a human perspective, we are never ready. Never. We will never be ready. Our inner critic will always say that we are never, ever ready. And I'll tell you something. Before I went on my first pilgrimage to Egypt, and I had signed up, like I was going through all the processes and all the objections that I am taking you through now, all of them were present with me. Like there was not one single one that wasn't. And I had unraveled that for me, and I was like, okay, I'm putting down the investment, I'm making space in my calendar, I am allowing myself for that expansion. It was in the middle of COVID. Everybody, like my whole family was freaking out. Everybody was advising me not to go. But I knew that I needed to go. I knew that I needed to be there. So I signed up, and I was not happy. Like my nervous system was freaking out. I was like, I was not ready. I don't know anything about this. All of the women who are going to be there are like so much more advanced than me. I'm going to feel stupid. What am I going to be wearing? Like really all these nitty gritty details where you're like, hey, take a breath. And I want to tell you that this is also completely normal. When you feel that there is something in your field, and again, that might be a sacred journey to a place that's been calling you for life in your heart, or like that trip, or that Magdalene program, anything, you name it, like really go within the desire in your heart, and you know that this is bigger than yourself. This is coming from your soul. This is going beyond. And whenever your reality shifts into alignment with that, the human self freaks out because the mind, the ego already knows, oh, there's death ahead. There's death ahead. Like, red flag. We're not going to do that. But you will. So sit with that discomfort of the human mind and the human ego, like a knowing that it's going to be uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable. It's not going to be all glittery, but you're not meant to feel ready, because readiness is created through that leap, is created through that movement and through that decision. So if you were ready, this was not an initiation. That's why it is an initiation. The other thing is, we often say that, oh, I need to think about it, which is completely fair. And everybody, like especially for these bigger decisions, you need to take time. You need to also get your environment on board, your family, your partner, whomever that is. But also, let's be precise. Are you really thinking or are you delaying? Are you procrastinating? And that's a big one. Even in, or maybe especially in spiritual communities, or when we think we are spiritual, that's a big one. Are you thinking or are you really delaying? Or are you sitting with it? I don't even like to say like, are you thinking? Are you sitting with it? Are you meditating on it? Like, can you see yourself? Can you feel yourself there or not? And most often, it's not that we need more time to think about. It's really that we need to trust the decision that internally our soul has already made for us. Our intuition has already made for us. I'm just going to pause here. The same is true for if timing feels off, which can be true if you really go about it in that intuitive, aligned, like connected way. Okay, timing can feel off, yes. And then the universe will exactly show you and will exactly tell you, okay, this is for you, like, but it's not your timing. I had an interesting one about that. Last year, when I was offering my journey to Egypt in December, I had a woman who really desperately wanted to go. But somehow it just wouldn't work out for her. And we had a conversation and we were like going into that meditative state together. And then I was shown that she's meant to go to Egypt, but this trip and the sequencing and the temples that we have put together, she wasn't meant to be there. She was meant to go on a different trip along the Nile. And so I told her, and that was where her full body expanded and said like, oh yes, I can feel that. Like this is what felt off. It wasn't necessarily the timing, but there was another piece of the puzzle that wouldn't quite click. So instead of just brushing that off, again, like I am inviting you to sit with all the pieces and see like, okay, what is true? What else is true? Because if something really is not aligning for you, and I'm not even talking about a trip, I'm like talking about that job, or I'm talking about, I don't know, that gathering that you wanted to go to, like anything and everything in life, if this is not aligned with your highest, it's not going to work out. Or there will be hiccups on the way showing you that you might want to think about that again. On the other hand, if it is right for you, trust me, because I've been there and I've experienced that myself. The whole universe will conspire and make everything possible for you to make that happen and to be in that alignment, because this is your next step. So I'm not going to say like the objection timing feels off or like something feels off, like brush it away completely with anything. No, but like sit with the pieces. And this, even if you are procrastinating, like why are you procrastinating? Probably there is something that feels off. Or is it again, like just your nervous system, like trying to be safe? There's a difference. So if everything really felt aligned, you would not be called into growth. And at the same time, things will align in the here and now, in the 3D, for you to clear the path to make it happen. Can your nervous system still freak out about it? Of course. Responsibility. So I know we have a life, everybody has a life where we have responsibility. Maybe it's responsibility for other people in a personal environment, in a work environment. Maybe it's responsibility for our work, or we say like, oh, I have so much to do. I can't leave my business for a week or two. And again, while all of that is true, you have not made yourself part of that equation. So I want you to reframe that into what happens when you become a woman that really leads her life instead of just managing your capacity. This is also about reframing and recalibrating that you are holding everything together and everything is on you. This is a perfect opportunity to recalibrate that and to give responsibility to other people in your field and to trust them, to entrust them with that responsibility. So you can take yourself out and go into that next layer of expansion. Another one that I really like is, I'm not sure if this is for me. And I want to invite you once again. I know that there is a lot of things that our human mind wants to understand, that like we want to know the logistics. We want to know, what are we getting? What are we having out of that? Is this really the thing that moves me forward? And my invitation for you is very, very simple. It's not about more certainty, it's the resonance. So what you need to be doing is dropping from here, dropping from the mind into the heart, and just feel in your body. Your body will tell you. Your body is the oracle. Your body is the pendulum of a yes, a clear yes, or a clear no. Contraction, no. Expansion, yes. Sit with it. If you already feel it, it's a yes. And then project out into your field, into your environment, that like pull that energetic signature, the highest that you are already holding, pull that into your body and manifest the reality that it becomes your fully embodied yes. Okay. Another one is the part of, can I do this alone? Or I could do this on my own. I could travel to, probably not Egypt on my own. I can travel to the south of France on my own. I can do that mountain on my own and connect with Mary Magdalene. And again, while this is perfectly true and even recommended at some times, I feel there is a time for solo travel and for solo retreat, and there is a time for sisterhood, expanded, weaving soul threads together whilst walking a certain land to remember together. Because there is something in the constellation that is unfolding. There is something in the teachings that are unfolding. There is something in the presence, the spoken words, the resonance of each woman or each person that comes on the trip that brings together a coherent field for each and every person that needs to be there. Even if it's the triggers and you find yourself in a situation where you're like, this is not what I signed up for. I can tell you this is exactly what you signed up for. And that exact sentence, when my mentor, like years ago, said that to me, I wanted to kill her, because I'm like, what is she even talking about? Like, she has no idea. Now I can tell you, this is what you signed up for. This is what your soul signed up for. So the doing on your own strategy works for some situations and for a while. And at the same time, the group field, the coming together in this remembrance and activating each other's as these crystalline pillars of light, is an amplified field, is friendships, sisterhood, it's connections that you are making for life. And what happens, like the depth of identity shift that you experience when being in such a constellation? Just like, again, coming back to these quantum leaps, it goes beyond anything that you might ever experience. And I'm sure that if you have been on such a trip, you might attest to that as well. Okay, so lastly, I want to speak a little bit about safety. And I know that for the times we are living in right now, probably everywhere on the planet, this is really, really a tangible thing. And even, I live in Switzerland. I very safe here. Do I feel safe in my nervous system? Right now, honestly, most of the time, right now, I don't. Because we are part of the collective field. We know what's happening. Like, I have a dear sister who's French Lebanese, and her parents are still in Lebanon, in the middle of the war zone. My parents are supposed to be flying via the war zone to have their holidays in a week from now. Am I worried? Yes, I am. And we all have these personal threads and nervous system recalibrations that are going on simply because we are part of the collective field. Now, how does that translate to travel? And I want to say that I can only speak for myself, and I can speak for the travels that I am curating. Ultimately, this is a question that, just like any other question, but this is a question that you have to answer for yourself. Nobody, even if you ask is it safe to travel to Egypt? And I'm taking Egypt also because it's kind of like the closest of the trips that I'm leading into the, close to Israel and Iran and the United Arab Emirates. Is it safe? You can ask me, and I might have a different understanding of safety than you do. So I can tell you, oh yeah, of course it's safe, while your nervous system might be freaking out. So the trips that I am holding are held very intentionally. Every sacred journey that I am curating months before, I am working with the energetic guides and guardians of the land. I'm working with the people on the land, on the ground, trying to make the utmost to keep you safe. And of course, if there was a tangible threat to any country that we'd be traveling, this is a different thing. But it's about the actual safety. Or is it about the actual safety, or is it about staying within what's familiar? So there's two things, right? And once again, if it's talking about what is familiar, then we're going to go back to the quantum leaps, and we're going to go back to the comfort zone and the human self. And it's like I need to think about it. I need to procrastinate. I'm not ready. Then you go down that rabbit hole. Okay, we've talked about that already. The other part is I can speak for the trips that I am doing, where we are doing everything to keep you safe. Can there be force majeure at these days? Of course. The trips that I'm doing, I am not just holding the vision for the journey, but also the constellation. And for every single woman that is coming on the trip, I have a certain energetic process. I have an energetic template that I am pulling and covering you in threads of light, seeing you in threads of light as you, not only on the ground, but as you leave your home, as you come and as you go back. I feel for myself, I am in such a constant communication and recalibration of the field that I am coming in full, and I can say that with confidence and integrity, trust that everything is working out in the way it's supposed to be working. Is this a decision that you have to take? Of course, ultimately you do. So this is some of the reasons, some of the excuses that are your reasons why your objections are really an invitation to go deeper, because there is the next level of soul expansion knocking on your door. So every time you delay a decision, you already feel, you don't stay where you are. and you reinforce hesitation, you train your nervous system to mistrust your own knowing. Okay, that is something that I want you to know. And that shows up everywhere. It shows up in your leadership, it shows up in the clarity, how you show up in life. It shows up in your income and the capacity that you're able to hold abundance. And it also shows up in the way that you have impact in your life. So when it comes to the decision moment, you don't need more information. Usually, you don't need more time. You need to decide. You need to make a decision. Which version of yourself is calling? And which version of yourself are you letting on the steering wheel? Okay, so let's close with this final question. Am I available for expansion right now? Am I available for expansion right now? Yes or no? Okay, and just notice your answer. So none of this was meant to convince you. And I am holding space for individual conversations before every journey, also before every program that I'm holding. You can sign up for a free conversation on my website for a discovery call, even if you're not sure if you want to be working with me. But I am also here to push you into that next iteration of yourself, because this is the people, this is the women, this is the men that are needed on this time to birth this new earth, to hold the pillars of light and to connect with the highest intention and to not fall for the fear paradigms. Okay? So if this is your moment, then I would love to invite you to explore the journeys that are open for 2026. And also, if you feel that you want a little more guidance on where your soul is calling you next, then take the Sacred Travel Quiz on the website. And I also put the links down below. And just see where you're meant to travel and meet yourself in the place that your soul has already walked ahead from this place. Okay. Because I also feel that there are moments on the path where life does not ask you for more thinking. It really just asks for aligned decision making. Okay. Aligned decision, not any decision, aligned. And I hope to welcome you into not just a journey, but into the version of yourself who is ready to lead from that aligned decision making and that aligned pillar of light with Source. If that conversation, if that inspiration resonated with you, I would love for you to leave me a comment or subscribe to my channel. So I can continue to host the conversations if this is something that you would want to share with a friend because you feel like, they would really be needing this right now, that shift of perspective, then please share it. And I thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.